Hi guys, I am working outside today because it's quite warm and it is dry, so it gives me the chance to remove some blackberries and to do some stuff on the pasture. So I just fed some hay to the horses, and if you want to learn more about what I'm doing today here with the blackberry removal, check out the video that I released earlier today about the volcano in Germany, the Lacher See, the lake Lach. There's really a caldera volcano, and it's quite a significant one that has caused a major tsunami of the Rhine River in the past. I'll put it in the end screen, so check it out. But what I want to talk to you about right now is, of course, the Blue Lagoon in Grindavik again. So what is currently happening there? I think they have started some kind of advertising campaign for the safety of the Blue Lagoon, but not an obvious one, so you don't see it as an advertising campaign. In my last video about the Blue Lagoon, I was telling you that they interviewed some tourists that had been there since it had reopened on the 16th, and the tourists said, "Oh, it's so great, and I'm so excited, and I feel so good here," and to give you the sense of safety. And they're not talking about the fact that they did not evacuate in time, that the eruption was in full force when they evacuated. So more press releases, more interviews with tourists, and more statements how excited the tourists were that it's open and that they can get in there, and how beautiful it is, and that they're so sad that they didn't see any eruption. So nothing about the magma chamber that's right underneath. And there's an interview with the restaurant manager there at the Blue Lagoon, and that he's so blessed to work there, and it's such a nice family, and blah blah blah. And the funny thing is, I think that's the manager that's Walk With Me Tim mentions in his video when he sits in the restaurant and he says, "I feel uneasy. That guy keeps staring at me while I'm eating all the time." So I think it's that guy. I'll put the article with a picture of all the people from mbl.is. I'll put it in the description of this video so you can see for yourself. So they're trying that, and you know what? I don't even want to talk about this anymore. If the tourists go there, I mean, so be it. People in the comments have asked me, are there any waivers so that tourists are aware of everything and then it's their own fault? I'm not aware that anybody had to sign a waiver. Walk With Me Tim hasn't mentioned it, and Paul Zitzka, the photographer that was nearby, also didn't mention it. I mean, he stayed in the Northern Lights Inn. He didn't stay at the Blue Lagoon Hotel. But it doesn't seem like this. Walk With Me Tim asked them, I mean, is it safe to come here? And they basically just said, well, we're operating as normal. They didn't say it's super safe because there is a magma chamber underneath, and experts have said it could be that it erupts right there, right underneath. But what else is going on in Grindavik? And it is related with the Blue Lagoon. So we know that the main road, Grindavik has been heavily damaged by the quick lava flow in the last eruption. So the day that the eruption started, that road was run over by lava, plus all the hot water pipes that feed the southern Reykjanes Peninsula were destroyed. So that road is blocked now. And of course, as they stated, keeping the Blue Lagoon open is the most important thing. I would have liked to hear the safety of the tourists is the most important thing. No, keeping it open is the most important thing. So they were so quick in building another road, like pushing lava rocks to build another road, an access road to the Blue Lagoon. And now residents of Grindavik are quite angry about that. They're saying, you know what, we're kept out of our own town and it's not safe there. But you know, they're so quick to make it possible to keep that thing going and reopen it. And some residents have even said, since, you know, they're pushing these lava rocks like it's an elevated road, as it seems, they're of the opinion that if we have another eruption, that this road is kind of a block that pushes the lava down towards Grindavik. So the feud goes on, and you know what? I have to side with the residents of Grindavik in this case. Really, I do. Of course, you can say Grindavik has a higher risk because they have that additional hazard level crack collapse with all the fissures and the sinkholes and the cracks that can open. So, of course, that's why it's so dangerous. But you know what? Having the magma chamber right underneath, that magma chamber where all the lava is coming from, that magma chamber that is causing the eruptions, and that thing is filling up very, very quickly again. And as I mentioned before, by expanding and contracting, the soil gets brittle. So it makes it easier for lava or magma. If it's underground, still it's magma. If it's on the surface, it's lava. For magma to come up right there. And that's the risk. I'm not worried about lava flow from an eruption further away. Yes, that reaches this as well. But I'm worried about an eruption inside, right there. So I side with the residents of Grindavik, and the businesses there are, of course, so angry because they want to be open too. They're so close to the port and they're just processing fish. They're not bringing in any tourists. And these people, they say, we are willing to take the risk. This is our hometown. We have grown up with this. We know Iceland, right? So the tourists haven't. So I really understand their point of view. But there is more news about Grindavik as well and the southern Reykjanes Peninsula. But I'll finish my blackberry clearing here and then we go inside and we talk about this. So there is still no cold water in the town of Grindavik, and they're hoping that it would be possible to install that, to repair it this week, and then, and that is new, to start business activities in the town. Wow. So this is what the mayor of Grindavik, Fanna Johansen, has said in an interview. We haven't heard from him in a while, and he says that he understands the business owner's point of view, that it is desirable that the activities can start again, although it is problematic since the state of the town's infrastructure is not good enough right now. They still have many leaks in the hot water pipes, so this is still very, very fragile. But the chief of public defense, Olfa Ludvigsson, and he's the police of the Sudurnes police, they are introducing a new arrangement for access to Grindavik, and the decisions on this topic have been in the hands of the National Police Commissioner since January 15. So they have been debating with the residents and the businesses. So the mayor says the land rise keeps repeating after each eruption, which will lead to another eruption and another earthquake swarm, which might affect Grindavik. So they know that there is a probability of another eruption. So they say they have to maintain access restrictions. And they're saying as long as such events are repeated, there will be no normal situation. So the first thing that they need to consider is that the security is taken care of in the area, especially with regard to the risks of eruptions. And yeah, I agree with them, but maybe they should tell that to the Blue Lagoon, but whatever, I'm not saying anything. The Blue Lagoon, by the way, has announced on their website some informations to the tourists about potential dangers, but the only dangers that they're talking about is earthquakes. So they're saying the Blue Lagoon is located in an area with earthquakes. They're not saying it's on top of a magma chamber that is causing all these eruptions and that the scientists are saying the magma might erupt right underneath. No, of course they're not saying that. Instead, they're releasing interviews how great everything is. But you know what? Let them do this. You know, I'm upset about this, but I think I have been upset about it enough. But, you know, whenever there's new BS coming out from that place, I'm getting upset again. I just can't help it, guys. You know me by now. It drives me nuts. So the ambassadors of surrounding Nordic countries have offered support for Grindavik. The mayor has actually met with the ambassadors, and there was a discussion about the possibility of expert assistance and help from these countries in importing modular houses, but no further details were available. So I hope that they hurry up, and I wish they had done that sooner, but you know how it is with bureaucracy. Things just move slow. You can't help it. What is going on with the home purchase plan? So I want to tell you another opinion of another resident of Grindavik, and they're saying that clause in that bill about that the person needs to have a legal domicile in Grindavik, only then the property is going to be purchased by the government. They're saying that this clause looks very, very bad. And so what the resident is saying, that the bill as it is now does not look good enough for everyone who has an interest or who owns something in Grindavik. He's a resident of Grindavik and owner of a four-wheeler company. And he says it works fine for those who have a registered legal address on their property, but it does not deal with properties that are registered under a legal entity. And for example, he says, I have a couple of investment properties, and he says, I have employees who work for me, who have lived here for 7 years, and they have invested in their future, and they bought a property that they rented out, and therefore do not have on these rental properties a legal domicile on this property. So, and he says he knows way more examples of young people who have bought property and are renting it out. And so the pension savings of those who have more assets are not guaranteed. So people were encouraged to buy additional fire insurance, but this is not taken into account in the bill. So there is still a lot of discussion going on, and there is still a lot of fight between residents, officials, police, public defense about how this is supposed to be handled. And as I mentioned, the anger about how the Blue Lagoon is treated versus the businesses in Grindavik is definitely present. And I agree with that. I have to side with the residents on this. So guys, since we're in the middle of the video, could you do me a favor and leave this video a like so that we are being pushed out in the world by the algorithm a little bit? So that would be absolutely awesome. Thanks for that. And let's continue with the video. And then here's the problem with the amount that the government wants to pay for these homes. They're saying they're paying 95% of the fire insurance assessment. So the problem is a lot of residents would lose their down payment that they made on their home. So the cash that they put in, because the homes are not assessed at market value, the market value that they had before everything started on November 10th. So all the government is doing, they're buying them out and taking over the mortgage. But now the people do not have cash for a down payment on another house. And that's the problem, because also homes in other areas, especially if they move closer to Reykjavik or to that area, they're more expensive. So what are these residents going to do? And that's why they say it is unfair and that they will lose money. So she says some residents are saying they could face bankruptcy if the housing bill for the people of Grindavik was unchanged. And I know a lot of people of you are saying, well, they knew this is Iceland, that's the country, that's a natural disaster. The government didn't make it, so why should the government risk the whole country by coming up with that much money, especially since the whole Volcano Peninsula has woken up. So what if something happens to another town and even suburbs of Reykjavik that might be threatened by lava flow? It'll bankrupt the country again, right? But of course, I see the point of the residents as well, especially with that natural disaster insurance. And I think this is what it's different from other countries. So that insurance, they're paying into that insurance. It was added to the bill for the fire insurance so that natural disasters would be covered. And there's still the question remaining, what about the land that these homes stand on? Are they paying them out for that too? Because 95% of the fire insurance, that's only related to the structure, but not the land, because the land doesn't get damaged if your house burns down. So, yeah. residents are saying, for us, in order to maybe ever be able to buy another house again, we would have to rent for years and years to come, to save again for a down payment. So one person, for example, says, well, I had to quit my job because we couldn't find any housing with an affordable rents in an area that would still make it feasible to drive every day to her job. And she says, now we have an apartment that we have until August. But you know, that bill that the government is proposing must include equity for all people of Grindavik. So there is not happily ever after, and there is not happiness. And a lot of residents are saying that they would rather go back and live in Grindavik again and have their businesses there than dealing with all that trouble. And of course, I understand that, but the situation is difficult. I don't know what to do. I don't know the answer. I mean, the next eruption is imminent, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in 3 weeks, something like that. That's what the scientists are saying. So I think they definitely have to wait for the next one and then see how that plays out and what is happening. But, you know, the scientists are saying this Grindavik might not calm down the next 10 years or even longer. So that would definitely mean the town is lost, because there are more and more damages, fissures, open cracks. So it's not a good situation. But the residents are saying, well, whatever, if the next earthquake swarm comes, we evacuate again, right? But it only goes well until it doesn't, right? Until, if it's in the middle of the night, there's an evacuation and the earthquake swarm has damaged the road, has opened another fissure, and someone else falls in that. Again, it has already happened, right? When the worker even knew that the crack was there. So it is very dangerous. Guys, let me know, what do you think? What's the right thing to do? What would you do? I mean, I think it's still a stage of denial probably that we all would have when we see our home and it's not, especially the homes that are not super severely damaged. You maybe have the feeling, well, let me go back home, right? I understand it. So that's my update about Grindavik, and more will follow, that's for sure. And guys, that was it for today. If you liked this video or these buds here behind me, leave it a like. If you're new here, guys, I would love to earn your subscription. So please subscribe, click the notification bell, and check my start page here on YouTube from time to time, because viewers have reported that they get automatically unsubscribed or they don't get the notifications. I'm releasing a new video every day. So if you don't get a notification, the video is there. So just check my YouTube start page to watch the video so that you don't lose out on one video. So guys, the horses and I, we say thank you so much for your support, for buying the supers and for buying the coffees on buymeacoffee.com so that I can buy hay for these guys. So in the name of all the farm animals, I say thank you guys for your support, and I hope to see you soon on this channel. And subscribe on buymeacoffee.com/silky so that you get the latest updates. I always send out email notifications once there's a new eruption or something else, a big earthquake or something, so that you know right away what is happening. Let's not just rely on notifications, because obviously for some reason they don't seem to work all the time. And I post maps there and some updates from the farm, and that is totally for free. So guys, I'll see you there, or I'll see you here. Check out the videos in the end screen, and I hope to see you very soon. Stay safe. Have an awesome morning, day, evening, wherever you are. Bye bye, guys.